at 7:34. All right, item number 8, discussion and possible action to form a town center standing committee. So, we've mentioned this before, and may or may have some input too as well. But there is ordinances in the code already for a standing committee. When I first initiated this and we're talking to other EDC members and people in the community, I was thinking more of an semi-informal committee to just to address some of the issues in town center. Parking is an example, signage, really just to have a committee or a group of people to email back and forth so we're not breaking quorum and things like that, just to move things along, so it's not just a couple of us breaking off and speaking to business owners from time to time. And that kind of progressed a little bit, and I talked to the mayor briefly, and the other way to go about it is to just reenact or reinforce, I guess, the existing committee that's in the code, and send out applications and kind of go about how it was already there, to begin with. I wanted to know everybody's thoughts. I don't know if y'all have seen the committee in the code at all. It's kind of buried. But it essentially has a member of the EDC zoning, Brent, council member. Right. So it'd be an ad hoc committee.
I believe this was discussed at City Council at some point. Were you trying to take it apart and then you decided to leave it in, or where was it? But anyway, it's there.
It's there. Now, we've never discussed it as long as I've been on the EDC, so I don't know exactly when it kind of petered out or if it was ever kicking or.
Well, the reason we formed that committee is called the Design Review Committee, because people would come here and want to do something, and they would go directly over to Jack Friday or whoever, and then he had his concepts of what we wanted and didn't want, which were kind of old school. So we put this in as kind of a filter. So whenever someone came that wanted to open a business or lease a building here, the idea was he would refer them to this committee. So we had someone from Planning and Zoning, EDC, City Council, and at the time we actually had someone on that worked for us as a kind of a planner, an architect, and stuff like that as part of this deal. And we would kind of screen them and say, well, we like your idea. It is allowed under the code. The town center zoning code is different, so it is allowed under that if you want to live above it and all that. But you've got a parking issue here, and you're going to have to get that through. The building inspector is going to have to work with you, but we do have shared parking, and so it was more kind of like a screening situation. And it was a formal committee, so I don't know if it has you have to do all the 72-hour notices and all that. And maybe what we need here more is just a group of people that can sit down without having a quorum and do the same thing without having to keep minutes and approve the minutes and all that kind of, because they have no budget or anything. So
that was my intention when I brought this up a few months ago, to start something like this, because I think having all those formalities may have kept it, it's just another committee that people have to go to in minutes. And I was looking for something that would be a group of people from the various boards, council, EDC, Plaza 10, maybe even a couple of citizens, just to brainstorm and talk and, reaching out to the business owners in town center. So, we can look at it both ways, or it can be both, or we can start off informal, and if it really consumes time and needs to be a little bit more formal, maybe it can morph back into that. There needs to be I think there needs to be something.
Maybe just a subcommittee of the EDC. 'cause we have to have four, for a quorum we could have three, and then we could invite other people that wanted to participate.
Right, I think the point is that, yeah, to stay out of quorum, because, you know, we speak to somebody or a business owner or have a good idea, you know, just send an email and people can reply, and not being able to do that, I think, hinders progress. And we're a lot busier up there than we used to be.
What were the circumstances around the sunset of the last committee? They just ended?
Never sunsetted, it just became inactive because there was no need for it. So with the members, as they retired or left or, you know, went away, we called 1 or 2 meetings to have people to do some work, and then the things filled up, so we really didn't need it, all the available locations. You know, there's a lot of underutilized property. The need for the committee was not as great.
Mayor?
Who's setting the agenda for the committee?
Well, I mean, there is no committee. I would think we would benefit more from not having agendas and just a designated group of people, that we can allocate different projects to. So one may be to go through the code and see some of these things that may need to be removed from the ordinances. Maybe another one is to, you know, canvass the businesses, make sure we have good backup contact information, reach out to them when needed. And I know that's been done a little bit. Brent, I think, did some of that, and Mayor too. But again, you know, landscaping, you know, does the EDC just need to be doing this, or do we need to get input from people? And then when it's time to fund something like this or go out, then the EDC already has a bunch of the work done.
Well, I guess my question would be, is the need for the committee at all? And if it is, you know, is it gonna pertain to certain projects? 'Cause you put committees together and everybody wants to do this, that, and the other thing, and they're spending a lot of money that, quite frankly, right now, EDC doesn't have any money. All of our funds are exhausted and will be for the foreseeable future,
That's actually changed, luckily.
partly.
Yeah, well, parking.
We don't have a lot.
Right, so, I mean, there's a lot of things, drivers there, I think, that, yeah, there probably would be a need temporarily for committees for certain projects, for sure. But ongoing, I don't know. I mean, we're a small community. We're literally almost 100% built out.
Did you have something to?
Just to address, you know, the thing on the ordinance is that, you know, someone fell to the wayside, you know, in addition of the council and myself and the city to make sure that all the ordinances are followed. So that is, you know, being resurrected and looking into that and trying to help Kevin. That's something for him to lean onto when he's approving certain things inside, just like Lonnie was mentioning. You know, one person may have a certain desire to do stuff, so he can lean on that committee. So we're resurrecting that committee entirely, put that back in place. Now, other than that, you know, that the other side of it, if you have an ad hoc committee, don't forget, we can generate an annual letter that says either city council or EDC can be informed at any time. Just that there's no decision made during those times unless it's a public announced meeting. Highly recommend us to have that in place.
Okay.
We're doing that next year, this next fiscal year, so we just gotta get to this month and do it in October.
Yeah, that would help dramatically for exactly what we're talking about.
You're at Soul Creek and 4 people are talking to each other.
That never happens. No. And again, I think the need is just to have some sort of committee, because before it was just never as busy as it was. But now it's getting busier. It's only going to get more busier, especially with the addition of Galveston Bay coming in. Parking is going to get even worse. It just, people to be able to, you know, brainstorm against. And the other thing I was going to say is, you know, the original committee and the ordinances, I feel like was more of a design committee. You know, thinking back then that people were going to come in and we're going to have these developments and, you know, all at once, and that needed to be screened. But, you know, that's completely changed. It's been a very organic, slowly evolving. So, I see the benefits of both sides.
I'm with Don. I think we be well served with something ad hoc, and we can start with a parking issue, because that is an issue.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the city's already gonna start enforcing the ordinances, which would create a committee on itself. So I don't know if there's a whole lot of decision for us to make, although, does the city appoint those members, or is there?
So the plan was I was gonna announce it during my address, tomorrow night, and we will request each chair of each of those three committees to select on their own.
Okay.
Designate and including council.
Mhm. Well, that's the case, there's not, yeah, we'll start with that, and.
And we'll
just kinda
put Thomas
figure-
on a committee to get free Wi-Fi.
That,
Public spaces.
I haven't gotten any, well, actually, I'm working on the pricing, I just haven't gotten it yet, so.
Well, that's the case, any other discussion? We can move on. It's getting late, okay. Oh, sorry.
And you, a recommendation would be to select tonight, someone to be on.
That would speed things up. Do we have any volunteers right off the bat? Ronnie Richards?
I volunteered Johnny.
I second that motion.
You don't have any desire to?
Well, I would be glad to help, yeah. So how many from EDC are on?
Just one.
Well, I'll be glad to do it.
Is everybody okay with Ronnie Richards being the EDC chair of this committee?
Yep, confirmed.
Get
Do
free
we need to make a
beer.
motion, or?
He's volunteered.
All right. We'll proofread your application, Ronnie. All right, we'll move on to the last item. Discussion and possible action to approach local businesses for annexation. I know this is kind of or has been a touchy subject in the past, but I think it's something that we need to start discussing again. Particularly, Jackie's across the street. We keep talking about what businesses we can bring in, what we can do, how we market ourselves, but all in all, the low-hanging fruit, the easiest thing that we can do to increase our tax base, I feel, is for them to come into the city.
Well, we went down that road before,
We did.
without much success.
Without much success, I think it's time to try again. I feel like we have the EDC on board, the city on board, and I think we all kind of realize that in the long run, putting together a really good incentive package and talking to the attorneys, making sure everything's good there, and then having a formal meeting with them.
Well, they've signaled that they could be interested if the deal is good enough, huh?
That's right. Mike Pons talked to them not too long ago, and I think they're open to discussing it again. So, we don't have to go into any real big details tonight, but, I did wanna, go ahead. Mayor, do you have something?
I think the last time they were concerned about two things. One was their expansion, which they've completed now. And I do say that they've complied. They took out a big part of so they comply with a handicap, even though they're in the county, but I guess that's state law. And they were also concerned about the police enforcement being overly zealous, going through their parking lots. They claimed and taken down license plate numbers of their guests, walking through the place, things like that. And so they were not, they didn't think the police were helping their business over there. And they didn't want to have another layer of compliance with our building codes. But their building is all done now. I think our police department has got a great chief and well managed, and we didn't offer them very much in the last go around. Their contribution to the city would be between $60,000 and $80,000 a year, I estimate, in sales tax. So if they're going to give us $80,000 a year in sales tax, and there's not going to be any cost attendant with that, I understand our police go over there anytime there's a call anyway, because it takes the county so long to get down there. So we're taking care of that. We're not, we don't provide water and sewer, so if they're going to contribute $80,000, they're going to want something back for it, and so that's what we have to talk about.
It's probably more than that. It's probably $80,000 just on alcohol, right? to 80 grand. Oh, almost $320,000 in alcohol in May. In May alone. Yeah. No, it wouldn't be that much. No, it's. They do roughly, well, they did $320,000 in alcohol, so you can estimate how much they did total with food and everything, sales tax. So 2% of that, annualized is probably $150,000. It's worth getting incentive, but,
Maybe they need their parking lot graded or paved or something, you know, and they could.
yeah, I've been brainstorming and I think we can come up with a really good package. So do we wanna, there's not much we can do today, but we can, maybe have a couple of people champion this. I know Mike was interested in doing it because he's had an open communication line with them. I don't mind being the other person, and we can work with the city and. But just to let y'all know, the kind of the idea was to, you know, get a couple of members to brainstorm, put something together, and then either have an executive session with the attorneys or have a phone call, a discussion with the attorneys, and then maybe go into executive session and then have a formal meeting.
And just to add to that, it was just not Jackie's, what I was looking for and leaning to the EDC to assist with is the other people in our ETJ that we could invite over into our city limits.
Sure, yeah.
And so what is that? Is that as simple as just a letter signed by Johnny and maybe myself, to just saying, introducing the city and what their pros and cons would be, and see what falls out of that?
And we do need, yeah, we need to make a list of potential recipients, and figure out who they are.
I think the starting approach should be maybe, just having an informal talk and figure out if they can, at least willing to discuss anything. We don't need to start up with letters, we can just start talking.
With potential, you mean with general businesses, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It took a long time to get Valero's in, but it was not because they didn't want to be in, it's just a lot of paperwork and stuff, and they, you know, they had to get their owners and all these different things involved. And, Szechuan Gardens is in the city, and that came in because of efforts made by the city administrator and I guess the mayor at the time. So.
So do we have that list of potential businesses?
I believe Brent has had one of our admins put that together. The list of people that are in ETJ that not city limits, with the addresses and contact information.
Get that taco stand, that fireworks deal.
yeah.
We do have that available, and we can get that to you. It may have to be just touched again, might have a little age on it, like a year or so. But.
I think it'd probably be helpful to have updated to
Sure.
EDC, so.
If anyone wants to spearhead it with Mike, you know, let me know if for some reason you have a ambition to do that. If not, you know, I'm happy to do it. You know.
I'll help you out, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll just have a quorum, so. Okay, we'll have more updates, on that as it moves along, as far as, you know, talking to the attorneys, and then, you know, obviously we want input from the entire board and others.
Yep. Brent, could you, circulate that list, or? Yep.
All right, it's been a long night. Anyone else have anything? In that case, we will adjourn.